I came home after a brutal 24-hour shift, expecting silence. Instead, my security feed showed Brenda, our HOA president, creeping into my kitchen with a crowbar. What she didn't know, my retired canine Rex was inside, and Brenda was about to learn a painful lesson she'd never forget. My name's Jake. I've been a paramedic for over 15 years. After my divorce, I bought a small ranch-style house in what I thought was a quiet Phoenix suburb. I wanted peace. After all, my work already meant late nights, flashing sirens, and life-or-death choices. The neighborhood looked perfect at first glance. Manicured lawns, identical rooftops, quiet streets. The homeowners association promised community standards, but I figured that just meant keeping hedges trimmed and trash bins out of sight. I was wrong. What I didn't realize was that my biggest fight wouldn't be on the highway or in the ER. It wouldn't be saving someone's life with chest compressions or cutting a kid out of twisted metal. It would be in my own neighborhood, against a woman who believed she owned us all. And her name was Brenda. Brenda Hutchkins. 52, bottle blonde, drove a white Lexus with blessed plates, and wore so much perfume you could smell her coming a block away. She wasn't just on the HOA board. She was the HOA board. Every morning, like clockwork, she'd strut the streets in high heels, clipboard in hand. The sound of those heels clicking on concrete became our neighborhood's doomsday clock. If Brenda stopped in front of your house, you knew trouble was coming. She handed out violation notices like Halloween candy. Wrong shade of paint. Fine. Grass half an inch too high. Fine. Holiday lights up a day too long. Double fine. But what made her dangerous wasn't just the rules. It was the smile she wore while ruining people. That smug grin, like she was doing God's work while making your life miserable. And eventually, she set her sights on me. It started small. 3 break-ins had hit our neighborhood, so I installed basic security cameras. Nothing fancy. Just 4 units covering doors and driveway. 2 weeks later, I got a certified letter. $150 fine for unauthorized exterior modifications. The HOA covenant clearly allowed security systems, but Brenda decided my cameras violated aesthetics. When I challenged her at the community meeting, she didn't even look up from her papers. Some people think rules don't apply to them, she sneered. That was it. Case closed. Then came the next violation. My neighbor Luis, a Navy vet in a wheelchair, got fined for his accessibility ramp. Sam, down the street, a Marine who'd just lost his wife, was cited for improper flag display. Another veteran was fined over a garden gnome. For veterans, 4 fines, all targeted. And then, the final straw, Brenda taped a violation notice on my door claiming my new dog was aggressive and dangerous. The dog hadn't even barked. That was the day I realized this wasn't about property values. It was about power. And Brenda was prepared to abuse every ounce of it. But what she didn't know was that I'd just brought home backup. Rex wasn't just any dog. He was a retired police canine, 5 years on the force, 85 pounds of muscle, training, and discipline. His dark eyes were sharp, his presence calm, his movements deliberate. He wasn't a pet. He was a professional. From the moment Rex stepped onto my porch, my house felt safer. He didn't bark at passing cars or lunge at neighbors. He simply sat, ears alert, scanning everything like he was still on duty. But Brenda? She saw him as a threat. Within 48 hours, she filed a dangerous animal complaint. No hearing, no investigation, just her word that Rex was menacing. What she didn't understand was that Rex wasn't just a dog lying in the sun. He was a guardian, a partner. And when she decided to break into my house, she was about to meet him up close. It happened after one of my longest shifts yet. 3 overdoses, 2 cardiac arrests, 1 car wreck. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I was dead on my feet. I didn't know that while I was gone, Brenda had been circling my house in her Lexus like a shark. Watching. Waiting. At 2 a.m., my security cameras caught her creeping across my backyard. She wasn't alone. Some greasy-haired guy, her so-called inspector, was with her. He tested my door handles, shined a flashlight through my windows, even tried the lock on my garage. Inside, Rex went ballistic. Deep growls, claws scratching against the doorframe, his whole body coiled like a spring. But Brenda didn't back off. She returned later that week, this time alone, this time with a crowbar. On the footage, you can see her jimmying my back door, muttering to herself like she owned the place. And then she stepped into my kitchen. What Brenda didn't realize was that Rex had been waiting all along. The moment she crossed the threshold, Rex moved. He didn't bark wildly or charge blindly. He emerged from the shadows like a soldier on mission, head low, ears forward, teeth flashing under the dim kitchen light. Brenda froze. You can actually hear her gasp on the recording. Crowbar clattered to the floor. Rex didn't touch her. He didn't need to. He just advanced, slow and steady, his growl vibrating through the walls. Every step forward forced Brenda a step back. She tried shouting, "Stay. Stay back." But Rex didn't recognize her authority. He only listened to mine. She stumbled, nearly tripped over herself, trying to retreat. And when Rex let out a bark, one sharp, explosive sound, Brenda bolted. She ran faster than I'd ever seen her walk in those designer heels, scrambling out the back door, crowbar abandoned. The whole thing, captured in HD on my security cameras. And that, my friends, was just the beginning. When I got home the next day, I watched the footage in disbelief. Our HOA president, breaking into my house with a crowbar, and Rex driving her out like a demon chased from church. I showed the footage to my neighbor Luis. He shook his head. "Jake, you're not the only one. She's been doing this to all of us." That night, half the block gathered in my living room. Each person had a story. Fines for flags, harassment for ramps, threats of liens on houses. One widow broke down crying, describing how Brenda had backdated violation letters to try to force her into foreclosure. The pattern was clear. Brenda wasn't just an overzealous HOA Karen. She was running a campaign of fear and control. And now, thanks to Rex, we finally had proof. We turned everything over to the authorities, the footage, the letters, the testimonies. The police didn't need much convincing after seeing Brenda creeping around with burglary tools. Charges piled up fast: trespassing, harassment, filing false complaints. Investigators even uncovered expired real estate licenses and shady contracts she'd been funneling through her boyfriend. The HOA held an emergency meeting. Neighbors showed up in force. When the evidence rolled on the projector, Brenda in my kitchen, Rex stalking her step by step, the room erupted. Gasps, laughter, applause. The vote to remove her was unanimous. Brenda was done. For the first time in years, people walked out of that community center smiling. And when we left, kids ran up to Rex, petting him like the hero he was. Today, our neighborhood feels alive again. We host block parties. Veterans share stories over barbecue. And Rex patrols the yard like he owns the block. The best part, Brenda's gone. But the community she tried to destroy is stronger than ever. Neighbors who once kept their heads down now stand tall, united. And Rex, he's more than my dog. He's the reason we fought back. He's the reason Brenda's reign of terror ended. Here's what I learned. Document everything. Don't let bullies rewrite the rules. Stand with your neighbors, because together, you're stronger than any Karen with a clipboard. So tell me, what would you do if your HOA president tried to rob you while you were out saving lives? Drop your story in the comments. And remember, never underestimate the power of a good dog.